Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. This is N.E.R.V speaking and ready to dive for part 2 as promised. Before we begin, I wanted to say that I did not expect my last video to gain that many views. It surpassed the very first on my channel, which was a mini documentary on my graphic novel. It's not a lot of course, but for a channel my size, this came as a complete and unexpected surprise. Plus, many of you praised the video and the character as a whole behind the scenes, so I wanted to thank you all for that. Your words truly encouraged me to continue making videos like this and improve on my editing, narration, and camera work, though that one is taking dear time. Oh, and get better at doing artworks, of course. Also, it makes me really happy to see that Isfrid was well received, so I will be introducing OCs more often, thus giving the green light to this new series. I don't know if Let's Talk About OCs is a fitting name, but I will stick with that name for now. For those who are viewing this for the first time, hi! I hope you're sitting back and relaxing on your bed, couch, or chair. For the sake of chronology, I want to encourage you guys to view the first part if you haven't seen it, as I will be referencing many things from the last post that, well, I just want none of you to feel lost. This video is entirely centered on a character named Ísfríðr or Isfrid for the modern version, so to understand what is going on and why I am doing this, I will put the link on the screen and below the description box so you can watch that video first then come back to this one. Thank you! And with that out of the way, grab your favorite drink, snack, and sit back because we're going to engage into character lore. Today I'm going to talk a little more about Isfrid's race and his mythology, though there are still some details about Isfrid that I forgot to mention or they're intertwined with this topic. Like her deceased brother Jofgeir, Isfrid has a byname. Sometimes she is called Ísfríðr Svansvartir instead of Agnarsdóttir. Svansvartir means black swan, and the reason why she earned the byname was due to her dark hair and beauty. Most members of the Ice clan have blonde, platinum, or ginger hair. Also because, well, despite being the weakest physically, her powers are stronger and unpredictable. She's prone to cause trouble, especially during childhood, where there was little to no control of its magnitude. But aside from the siblings, the parents also have bynames. Her father is referred to as Agnar Hivithersi because of his snow white hair. Hivithersi means wife chieftain. Her mother is called Gíðr Konungsefni, which means king's equal, because as the wife, she is the one who takes control whilst Agnar is absent. And Jofgeir, as previously mentioned, is referred to as Skoli, which means protector, because at war he died because he saved his father, and in the afterlife he still watches over his family. They made a sword in his name so he can guard his sister in the future. Ability wise, I have mentioned before that she is very adept at rune magic. The rune I drew in the previous video is called Hagalas, which means hail. Its real runic meaning signifies change, chaos, severe weather, and destructive forces of nature. In Isfrid's world, Hagalas is combined with the runes related to the elements, which I shall say that is earth, fire, water, air, ice, and thunder. Therefore, if you combine any element with Hagalas, that is where you create these powerful spells. For example, with the rune of ice and hail, you can create either a snowstorm or a fury of ice. Air and hail creates a whirlwind. Thunder provokes a lightning storm, and so on and so forth. The less focus you give, the more widespread and weaker it becomes. To make it a little more target specific, you add manas. Yes, this is heavily inspired by Nordic culture, primarily the names and runes, but there are elements that stir away from it. Which brings me to talk about their mythology now. We have to go to the start, at the creation of the world. In the beginning, according to the Vulcans, there used to be only a barren land engulfed in complete darkness. There was no light, no world, nothing but land. In time, the first sign of life sprouted from the wasteland. It was a plant that retained soul, light, and a consciousness. It grew to become Ada, the cosmic tree. From its fruits came the first two gods, N.E.R.V, the father god, and Elowin, the mother goddess. They're also called Onar and Adis. With the tree, they created the universe. The creator god made stars out of his bioluminescence, 8 planets, or lands as they call them, out of the rest of the fruits, mixed together with the soil of the barren land. The creator goddess would give it life through her song. The song is roughly what we refer to as breath and sound. Yes, basically a melody. For Vulcans, everything has a song. Therefore, they believe that every material, animate or otherwise, has life. The ocean was made out of N.E.R.V's blood and Ada's sap. From it, they also made rivers, lakes, and divided the land into 5 continents. After the sea was created, the gods bore their first children, which were the sun god Alvarez and the moon goddess Nātūra. Both gods control the seasons, which for Vulcans is only summer and winter. Later, N.E.R.V gave birth to the 8 major gods. These gods were N.E.R.V, the god of war, strategy, and bloodlust; Ísfríðr, the goddess of fertility, beauty, and destiny; N.E.R.V, the god of the ocean and riches; Herknungr, the god of magic, poetry, and feast; N.E.R.V, the goddess of wisdom, justice, and the hunt; Valdis, the goddess of death and patron goddess of the slain; Nātūra, the god of chaos and rebirth; and Mindil, the god of humankind and the ruler of Nifandi. Nifandi is what they call this world, the former barren land where N.E.R.V grew, which is referred to as the land of the living. After the 10 gods were born, the creators made the flowers, bushes, and the forest with Ada's seeds, animals, avian and terrestrial from soil and clay. They created dwarves out of ore, elves out of fallen leaves and some of the stars in the skies. Lastly, they created humans in their children's image and carved them out of the crust of the cosmic tree. N.E.R.V sculpted a man and a woman, but as she was polishing the latter, she pricked her finger and bled. The blood poured onto the woman and she woke in pain. The man rose soon afterwards with N.E.R.V's soothing melody. The man was called Anu, and the woman's name was Folkvi. Because of the mother goddess's injury, women delivered in pain and basically had their menstruations. That's how it came to be. Satisfied with their masterpieces, N.E.R.V paced to the far north and rested. She became one with nature, brought life to the world, and transformed into the mountain chains known as Rinhe, which will be the birthplace for Vulcans in the future. N.E.R.V decided to watch over his consort and merge with the cosmos. From there was time. The major gods preserved the tree and watched over the creation for millennia. Unfortunately, weeds and vines grew around the tree and spawned life of its own, which were dragons, orcs, golems, and beasts. From the rotten fruits came the giants, and the dark elves were born out of the dying leaves. The essence of the herbs corrupted mankind, making them wrathful and greedy. All of this caused the cosmic tree to die, in spite of how much the gods tried to stop it. When Ada perished, the universe fell into complete disarray. The stars began to die as well. There were violent storms and all living creatures turned against one another. In order to save their parents' creation and bring balance, the gods have decided to fashion minor gods out of Ada's remains, anything that was unpolluted, and mix it with their own spirits. With this, they created the Volsungs, the literal manifestations of nature. These gods had no body or names, and their power solely depended on their element. There were 8 in total. N.E.R.V made the Volsung of fire. Ísfríðr created the earth Volsung. N.E.R.V obviously fashioned the water Volsung. N.E.R.V created the Volsung of thunder. Nātūra made the Volsung of ice. Alvarez created the Volsung of light. Valdis and Nātūra fashioned the Volsung of darkness. These minor gods acted as Ada's successors. Mindil focused on being the mediator of the rest of the creation. He lived at the tallest peak of Rinhe, which was called Ísfríðr. By then, all gods, including the Volsungs, lived among creation. Rinhe wasn't a place that was brimming with snowstorms and infested with monsters and megafauna as it is today. It used to be lush green, all 4 seasons happening there, just utter perfection. The era of complete coexistence was peaceful and balanced, and it spanned for another thousands of years. What happened that led the mountains to be just how it is right now? Well, evil happened. Everyone, humans, dwarves, and elves, they all got greedy again and killed for power. Wars and plagues happened. Each species wanted to prove which one was better and stronger than the other, and it led them to rebel against the gods. They couldn't target the minor gods because they were immaterial by that time, so they decided to ambush Mindil. That's right, they turned against their protector. All three races invaded Úlfgarður and managed to kill him. Unfortunately for them, like every god, they do not stay dead forever. So once Mindil came to life, he was enraged. When Mindil died, the gods abandoned Lifandi, which is the earth, not out of fear, but sorrow and betrayal. But there are two versions as to the consequences that Mindil brought depending which clan you belong to. The clans of fire, air, and thunder believed that their god left as well, but not without leaving something behind, which was a monster that was born out of the goddess' wrath. They call it Ísfríðr. Ísfríðr eradicated the army that killed the protector god, then laid ruin to the rest of the world, almost causing its extinction. The clans of ice, water, and earth believed that Mindil morphed into Ísfríðr upon revival, and it ate and killed everything in its path. In all versions, the monster is described to be larger than a mountain, deathly frightening to look at, with skin harder than all kinds of steel. It has a terrible appetite for bloodshed, and in many iterations it is winged, looking very similar to a dragon. Once the ordeal was over, the monster returned to Úlfgarður and slept. Úlfgarður was lost afterwards, and Rihen became the dangerous landscape it is today. All clans believed that this monster were awakened at the end of days to destroy the world, at a time where the world goes into a third era of utter chaos. Even though the monster is asleep, some of the most terrifying beasts are attributed to being Ísfríðr's children. As for the Volsungs, they could not live with their makers. They had to stay and maintain balance in the world. However, when the gods abandoned Lifandi, the 8 Volsungs immediately lost half of their immortality. They could feel pain like humans, bleed, and agonize. They could also grow old, although slowly, and die. But they could still control the elements and had high intelligence. Moreover, since they had bodies, they were extremely beautiful. The male Volsungs were Kevenelduf, who represented fire, Eyvindr, air, Hroðar, ice, and Morkr, darkness. The females were Fjord, water, Hjavor, earth, Ísel, thunder, and Ljótir, light. The Volsungs of light and darkness journeyed all over Lifandi and taught creation of magic. They gave origin to white magic and black arts. The remaining 6 settled in the mountains of Rinhe between the plains and the lost realm of Úlfgarður. They protected the realm from outsiders, but eventually they mingled with humans and made families. And those families grew until they became clans, giving origin to the Valkans and the 6 clans, which are the Keveneldufring, the Vinderung, the Hroðarung, the Fjording, the Kjövolrung, and the Íseling. The first 3 function as patriarchies since the ancestors were male. The remaining 3 clans operate in matriarchies. Though for the Ice clan, it is possible for women to become chieftains, in the Water clan, men can also be chiefs. As aforementioned in the last video, Isfrid's race, the Valkans, were not so much as seafarers, but they were monster hunters, warriors, and mountaineers. They have emblems on their forehead which marks the tribe they belong to. You are born with it. They live strictly in the mountains of Rinhe and have little to no contact with the plains. The plains are the rest of the countries, the world beyond the mountains. Basically where all the other races and kingdoms are. The world is divided into 6 continents/countries. They don't have names or a thorough description of how they function thus far, but there's the north, east, west, central, and far north, which is Rinhe. But anywho, because of their mixed heritage, Valkans were not born with magic. They had to learn from their supernatural forebears through runes. They have the capability to emulate their ancestors' magic, however, it punishes them physically by draining life force. So, they must be careful. Runes can be carved on items and gain magical properties. That's usually done through rituals, specifically when one wishes to communicate with their ancestors, which I don't have a name for it yet, but it's like a seance, and if you're successful, part of your soul and your consciousness leaves your body. You fall asleep and remain comatose for days on end until the runes are revealed to you. If you don't manage to perform it right, you don't enter that state, because it is believed that you get possessed by the ancestor as well. Vulcans can interchange with one another, meaning they can marry with someone from a distinct clan, even from the opposing side, but it is uncommon. For example, Isfrid's father is from the Ice clan, but her mother comes from the Earth clan. But she's not born with two emblems on her forehead. Isfrid is identified to be a member of the Rhodarum because she was born in the realm where the Ice clan lives. The emblem you receive through birth is from the ancestor you connect with the most. However, it is far easier for you to learn the runes of your other parent than if you were born with two parents of the same clan. That is why Isfrid is magically gifted. She can use ice runes, earth runes, and unironically, fire runes. Vulcans are animists, meaning that everything, from plants, animals to objects, have spirits and a consciousness. There is no it for them. Even the skies and the wind have souls, because like I mentioned before, in their creation myth, everything has a song. Everything that produces sound is therefore alive, so they are very in tune with nature and believe that everything functions in a cycle. Though they do not believe in reincarnation, for them there is eternity and life after death. It is believed that Vulcans can foretell danger and natural disasters. Due to the fact that all living things are precious, when it comes to hunting, it is highly looked down upon and punishable to make an animal suffer. The quicker you execute something, the better. Which I could go into the topic of how a Vulcan is defeated, but it's a little graphic, so I am going to be careful with my wording. But basically, due to their resistance, it's hard for them to get poisoned, sick, severely injured, burnt, and so on and so forth. So they don't go down the same way as other races tend to. In fact, it's hard to overpower a Vulcan. Yes, all of them, including Isfrid. She's one tough cookie. Of course, they're not immortal. They live about 20 to 50 years longer than humans. There are particular diseases that can affect them, and the only way they go down is through pieces, to put it lightly, particularly going for the head. Morbid fact, Vulcans tend to be those types of collectors during war, usually when the odds are in their favor to signify victory. Another easier way to end a Vulcan is by striking at their emblem with a weapon or magic. It's their Achilles heel. It's like shooting a heart. It doesn't matter where you hit, they won't go down unless you strike a buff. Once you die, your soul can move from one land to the next until you arrive at Himen, which is a place filled with lush green fields and meadows. There is no blizzard nor danger in it. If you die a warrior's death, then you ascend to the land of the gods and the Volsungs to become a protector over life. Since Vulcans believe that evil comes from external forces, then the afterlife for warriors is spent between safeguarding balance and feats. If you die a coward, which that's how they refer to traitors, criminals, and the forgotten, then you descend into a land that's constantly rotting, covered in darkness and with mist, where you are punished by Valdis, the goddess of death, for all eternity. Vulcans believe that the northern lights are the souls of the dead traveling from one world to the next. When there is a starless night with no snow in winters or animals, all of them growing unsteady during summer, it means a wicked soul has passed away. But whether you ascend or descend, your body is cremated. It is extremely crucial to do that. A non-cremated body later turns into a dead in life, yes, like a zombie, where you feel no pain, no sensation, a suspended song as they say. All you feel is resentment for the living and appetite for flesh, with your soul decaying inside its corporal jail. The dead in life must feed from others in order to gain a bit of life. That is why it is important for every corpse to be burnt at a pyre. Even animals are burnt once they are deceased, for they can also rise from the dead. And with that creepy note, I shall conclude this segment. For once, the length of the video matched without music. Not that I despise it, I started to like adding music in between. I just wanted to change the pace for this one. I feel like there are a few details here and there left for me to discuss, but I am not sure if it will warrant a new video. This is a world that is in constant development with things I am left to fill the gaps on, but I hope you liked it regardless. I could probably make a Q&A over Isfrid or her race overall if anyone is willing. It will be fun. Yet, that is all for today. Thank you so much for making it at the very end. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and a comment. If you'd like to see more videos like this from me, feel free to subscribe. I highly appreciate that. For now, I hope you all have a wonderful day, as awesome as you are, and I shall see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.